everyone, this is Trisha and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I put together this really cute lighted up skeleton box. I got some items from the Dollar Tree and some florals from Walmart. I think it looks super cute. I hope you're going to enjoy it. So let's get to crafting. Alright, so for my little box, I'm going to be using these photo frames that I grabbed from the Dollar Tree. These are a 4x4. And this is what it looks like unpacked without the little paper in there as well. This is a double glass and a see-through frame. It's really neat. You can use it for all kinds of, you know, photo display or maybe even some dry flowers to be sandwiched between the two pieces of glass here. It's very easy to pop open. You just slide these little bits out of the way. This part here comes right off. And there's the glass. Now, I'm not going to bother taking that out. I do want to clean the glass, so that's the only thing I'm going to do. But I am going to attempt to remove these little things here. And when I do that, of course, I'll have to, you know, glue these down, this little part here, into the frame so it doesn't come off. But let me go ahead and pop them all open. And now that I have one already done, I only need to do the other three and see if I really do need to remove these little corner bits here that hold the frame. These little bits here. Okay? Okay, so I have removed these little bits here, these little prongs and the little screw off of two of the frames. And the reason that I've only done two of them is because I only need two frames to have a smooth edge where I can glue the other, you know, the frames onto when I create my little square. These I went ahead and left them on because these are going to go, this edge here is going to go against here, for example. And there's nothing that's going to go against this edge here where the little prongs are, these little prongs are. They're not going to be in the way. So I went ahead and left them on. It's a little bit of a task removing, you know, the little four screws on each corner of these other two frames, and I removed 8 screws altogether. Now if you want to go ahead and, you know, remove 12 little screws and 12 little prongs, that's up to you, but I'm just telling you right now, you can save yourself a heck of a lot of trouble and just do it on 2 of them and just leave them on the other 2 frames. Plus this will hold on this little backing onto here so it doesn't come off like this would, for example. See, if you take off the little prongs, this comes off very easily. With the prongs, it holds it together, so then you don't have to do any gluing on these other 2 pieces. Now, I took out the glass, everything on both on all 4 of these, and it's like I said, it's 2 layers, and there was a little paper in between. So what I did is I opened them up, you know, cleaned the inside with some glass cleaner. Once they were dry, I sandwiched them back together, the 2 clean sides, put them back in the frame, and then I can clean, you know, the outsides of the glass, which would be this part and of course this part over here. And I'll do that once I put my whole little box together because I'll probably be touching the glass, so it doesn't make any sense to clean it now. Alright, so then all I did was take some hot glue, and you take out this little piece here, and then the little corners, let me move this out of the way so you have a, well, actually this one right here, so you can see that right here, and then on this little corner here, just add some glue there on all 4 corners, and you probably add a little bit more glue, but for now we're just putting it on those little corners, and then we can put that back into the frame like that. And once that's dry, we can clean off any of the hot glue little webbings that get created. Okay, and once that dries, of course, you can also come and add a little bit more glue to kind of there's a little bit of a gap right there. Let that glue kind of seep in there to hold that little part in there a little bit more. Now you're going to be gluing these on here, so you're going to add more glue, so you don't have to glue it too much right now. You just want to hold it in place so that, you know, this doesn't come off and then your glass doesn't fall off. Okay, so once you have that, and we'll say it's already dry. Well, we have this one already dry, so we'll use that one. Let's move that one out of the way. Okay, like I said, these are going to go right on these 2 edges right here. And I want to make sure that they are, you know, nice and lined up on the outside part here. That looks really pretty. Actually, I like that. Okay, so we're going to put some glue on right here. So that piece, you know, will glue on. I didn't have to go that way. I don't know why I did that. Okay, well, just a little bit. Okay, so now we can line them up. And you can use any glue you want to use, of course. And you don't want to make sure it doesn't seep out. Mine seeped out a little bit, but I do have some Goo Gone. I can clean it up if I want. Just make sure that they're aligned on the sides and just aligned right here. So now the other frame, and I always make sure that, you know, this is the backing of the frame. This side, this is where it has a little hanger thing right here where you would hang it from. This is where I removed the little screws from. Here's where the little prongs are in the backing to hold the glass and the picture in there. So you want to make sure these are all going to be facing the inside of the box. So here I have another frame, for example. Here you can see the little bit where you would hang it. I want to make sure that's on the inside, not on the outside, because we don't want to see that through the outside. So now I'm going to glue this one right onto this edge here. I'm actually going to put the glue like on the inside edge, because if it seeps out a little bit, it won't seep out of the very edge on the outside here. Okay. And you want to do this quickly before your glue starts to dry and get all hard, and then you have little bumps, and then things don't fall flat and level against each other. Okay, so then that's it. So once we have these walls, then we can add the one that goes up here. So let's move our camera a little bit. Right here. Okay, so now you can see the top here. Let me get all my little screws and such out of the way so they don't scratch up my frame. All right, so now that we have that, we're going to take the other piece here, the one that I also removed the prongs from. As just like this one here, that's going to go opposites. And I always make sure that this part goes inside. So we're going to put it like that. Okay? So we're going to have to do some little maneuvering here. And we're going to glue that down right there. So we're going to put the glue on the inside of this. And I need some more glue. Okay, I'm going to put it up against this one here. Oops, come on, slide it straight, slide it all together. And you'll have to hold it a little bit, okay, just to make sure that it all dries. And they're right up against each other. And this is going to form like, it's not going to be a square, it's going to be a little bit of a rectangle, because obviously this ends are going to be longer than these. That's okay. So now I can put it like that, just stand it up, and then we see we formed a little cube here. So that's really nice. So that's what we want to do. So any frames that you have, create your little cube. Of course, you're going to be able to put your hand through it. Now, if you find another frame, like if you put these, you know, find a little spot there at the store, wherever you're at, a counter somewhere, and put these little frames like this, like you haven't glued them together, and then find another little frame and see if the other little frame will encompass the space, even if it's a little bit bigger. That won't matter, but as long as you can, you know, glue something down to here, then you can create like a top to it, and you can have a clear glass. And it doesn't have to be the same, obviously, you know, the same frame, all this, and not the same size, because as you've created a little bit of a rectangle, you've got a longer edge here. So maybe a little 5x7 frame could be on the top, and you could have a little glass top. I'm going to use something different, but I'll show you that in a little bit, and then I'm going to use something different for the bottom. Of course, we don't really have to put anything on the top, but I'm going to do that. So let's go ahead and go on to the next step. All right, so I have a few options here that I can use for the top. And like I said, you can find a little frame that will go on the top. Now, initially, I didn't do that when I was shopping. I thought I would use this little bit here. It's a little box here, a little framed art. And I could use that on the top to create my flat surface for where I'm going to rest my little skeleton. Now this overlaps a little bit on the sides, and of course it's inward on here, but I didn't mind that. I kind of like that a little bit. But now that I'm home and I was suggesting maybe use another little frame, I said, you know what, I have a stash of frames, so I decided to look through them, and I grabbed this one first. It's a 4x6. So I tried that one, and I go, you know what, that does encompass all the edges, and it fits perfectly fine. Once I remove the paper, I'll have a glass top, and it'll look pretty cool if I can see through, you know, the top of it right there. Now, I happen to have this other 4x6, which is just a little bit bigger frame, And it has this matting that I can remove, and that as well. And if I put that on top, this actually fits a little bit better. It is not a perfect fit, but it fits a lot better. And in my opinion, it looks better than having this on here, even though I didn't mind it at first. But now that I have something that fits really, really well, I'm going to use that. So this is what I'm telling you. When you're at the dollar store and you put your little frames together in a little square like that, try to lean them up against each other. You know, find another frame that'll encompass the area, okay? But like I said, if it's just a little bit smaller, it's fine. As long as it fits and it touches on top of the edges here of the inside, that is perfectly fine, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use this one. And I kind of like that gold edging, but I think I'm going to go ahead and paint it black. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it apart and just paint the frame part black. Of course, clean the glass and such once I have it all put together. But for now, let's go ahead and go on to the next step. We are going to do a bottom to this. Now, to the bottom, you could also use another frame if you don't mind it being see-through on the bottom, which is a great idea. I happen to have another frame here that I can use. Now, if you don't have two frames, you don't find two frames that you can use for this project, you can go ahead and use a piece of a foam board that you can cut to the size. Just trace, you know, put your little cube here on top of the foam board, draw a line around the outer edge, cut it out, paint it or cover it with a fabric or paper, whatever you want to do. And then which I would probably do that rather than painting it, because painting could warp it a little bit. You could cover it up with some, like I said, some paper or fabric, or just leave it as, because we are going to put some flowers down here at the bottom. Now, you could also use some styrofoam. And here I have a piece of styrofoam, and like I said, I want to put some flowers on the bottom, so I like the idea of using a styrofoam, and this happens to be just the right width, but I would put it right up against here, and then of course I would mark here where I would then, you know, cut it. And I'm liking the idea of using the styrofoam because then I can stick my flowers into here and create a beautiful floral arrangement. You could skip the flowers altogether and just put a cute little frame underneath, because you can see that is really neat if you want to create another different type of look and not do a floral arrangement, or you could put your floral arrangement on top. I'm thinking that I'm going to go with the styrofoam on the bottom, and then I'll cover it with some moss and of course the flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this to size, paint this black, and be back. I'm using this Folk Art acrylic paint. It is in the color Licorice. Now, I would probably recommend that you just spray paint it if you happen to have some spray paint. You might want to sand this down a little bit also, just to make sure it captures the paint. But you know me, I'm just skipping steps here. It is just for the purpose of the video. I am not really keeping this craft. So this is what I'm doing. Okay, I'm just going to paint it. And paint the sides and paint the little inner edges. Of course, I took the whole frame apart and I took the glass out because I don't want to get any paint on that, obviously. And just like that. Alright, so I do want to light up my little box. So I have this little package of LED light set, and it has 10 lights, and this requires 2 AA batteries, which are not included, but I do have some here ready to put into the little box here. And this is the string. But first I need a tiny little screwdriver to remove that tiny little screw in there. So I need to do that. Then I can remove this top part off, insert the batteries. On the side here has a little switch for on and off, and then I'll know and make sure that these lights do actually work. And they work. Alright, so here I have a few other decorations that I purchased for the inside of my little box. And I have this package of skulls. This is an 8-piece package. And then these are some bones. And this is an 18-piece packet. And I did buy these from the Dollar Tree. Now for on top of my box, I purchased this skeleton. I didn't even notice that it said it lights up. So at the top here, it has a little switch. And the eyes light up. Look at that. That's pretty cool. And then I was at Target and I saw this little kind of grapevine pumpkin, and I really like this. This was $1, and I do want to take this bit off of here and put something else there as the stem. So I'll figure that out later. Now, while I was at Walmart, I actually purchased this lovely bouquet of these beautiful dark purple roses and some black and gray greenery, and it has these glittery black pumpkins, and I think these look like feathers, but it's just some long greenery. It's a really lovely stem. I don't recall how much I paid for it. It is called a rose and pumpkin bouquet. And then I have these pieces that I believe I grabbed from the Dollar Tree, but these are from last year. This branch, a glittery branch, I think it's really cool looking. And then this stem with these berries. This was actually from the fall collection. So if you have anything like that that you want to add to your little arrangement, you know, grab that. I'm also going to be using some Spanish moss. Alright, so here's my box and my styrofoam. I'm trying to decide if I go ahead and glue it on now and then just kind of decorate around it. I think that if I decorate the styrofoam and then I try to put this on top to glue it on, there'll be things that will be here in the way and then they'll get glue all over them. So I think the best thing to do would be to glue this down. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so now after putting plenty of hot glue down, of course you can use any other glue that you prefer, and then just allow it to dry for whatever amount of time it recommends. Okay, this is on there. Alright, so now I want to cover the styrofoam. Now to cover the styrofoam, I'm going to be using my Spanish moss, and I'm going to be using these greenery pins to attach the moss on there rather than using hot glue. Let's start right here on the side. Greenery pin, push it in. And I just want to put enough on there to, you know, cover most of the styrofoam. I am going to be putting that bouquet. I'm going to be cutting that up and inserting the flowers in here, so that'll help cover some of this. Alright, so just go all the way around the sides, attaching your moss. Alright, so now I'm just trimming some of the moss that's on the bottom. And I'm going to take some of the moss as well and put that on the inside. Now, while I insert the greenery pins on the inside, I'm inserting them at an angle rather than straight down because these may be longer than the height of my styrofoam, and then I'll be pushing it into the table, scratching that. So you want to be careful, or you could take your wire cutters and trim these shorter. Alright, so as I was putting it on the inside, I was trying to leave like a little bit of a well here in the center so that I have a place to glue down the other items that I'm going to put in there. Now, I think for the inside, I kind of want to put these like kind of crisscrossing, maybe like a little campfire kind of a look. I want to arrange these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these first in the center, kind of sticking straight up. But let's put some hot glue, and I'm going to insert it a bit into the styrofoam. There we go. I think this will help the other pieces stand. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate them, so some of the ends will have this up and then the other ones will have this up, just so they don't all look exactly the same. Let's see. Let me lean that kind of like that. I mean, you could do this little display however you want, but this is kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah. I'm just going to keep adding these until I'm happy with what I've created. Okay, so now I'm going to add a little skull in there, just wherever I like. I kind of want one facing this way, and then I'll probably put a couple more in the back. I did discover that these little package bones, that I have 2 separate sizes, so I'm going to go ahead and add some of these smaller ones in there as well. Just kind of throw them about in here. And then, of course, I want to add my little lights in there. Alright, so now that I've straightened out my lights a little bit, I want my battery pack to go on top where the little frame that's going to be up here, and I have some more decor that's going to go up here. The little battery pack is going to rest on there, so I want this, make sure that this wire will fit in there. I have enough space where I can kind of just start my lights actually with a wire out here, the black wire of the lights. I'm gonna put a little bit of glue right there, and I'll let that dry. I'll be back, and of course I will have put some more of these little bones in there as well, maybe a couple more skulls. All right, so before you go on, and you've already done the inside of your little box, you've already lit it up, you've got your lights in there, you've got whatever decor you have in there. Before you decide to go any further, go ahead and take some glass cleaner on a little napkin, or if you have glass wipes, just go ahead and clean the inside. Don't worry about the outside yet, you can do that at the very end, but just wipe the glass to make sure that the little particles don't get trapped in there. All right, so I have this little pumpkin, and I just had a thought. I wanted to use this on top of my little arrangement, but because the bush that I bought has some pumpkins, I'm just going to use those instead of this, and I'll save this one for another project. But since I already showed it to you, I thought I'd explain what happened to it, because I'm not going to use it. And this one has 2, maybe 3. Yeah, it has 3 of these little pumpkins, so I have enough to put some at the bottom and then 1 at the top, or put all 3 at the top. It all depends on what I decide. But first, I've already cut up all my floral bush, cut off all the stems so that I have a separate pieces like that. I'm going to start off with one of my roses, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and decide where I want it. So I'm just going to fold it like that so I can decide more or less where I want it. I want it kind of in this corner right here, so I'm just going to trim off the stem a bit shorter because I don't need it to be that long, and I can go ahead and straighten it out now that I know, because it's just going to go straight in there. Put a little bit of glue on the stem, push it into the corner where I want it, right there. I'm going to spread out the leaves here. And I love that. Okay, so now I can go ahead and continue putting the other roses in other spots of my arrangement, and that all just depends on where you would like your florals to be. Now I'm not making tall bits because I want to be able to look into my box inside of there and see my little display that's inside in case I decide to use it as a centerpiece. Right now my thought is it's going to go maybe on a little table. There's going to be a wall behind it, so I don't really want to decorate the back. But if I have to, I will. Okay, I'm going to add another flower on this corner, but a little more facing the side. Now what you could do also is just trim, let's move this little leaf upward. Trim it right here, and then move up this little leaf right up to that little edge there, and then hot glue it there. And that creates another stem that you can use in another spot. That way it does serve as a centerpiece. Actually, I'm going to be giving this away, so I'm giving the option to whomever gets it to decide if it's a centerpiece or what to do with it. Alright, so I'm just going to do is fill in the rest of the spots with these little bits that I created and these other bits. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I've finished adding all the florals that I want to add to this. I've added the little berry clusters. I just pulled them off the stem completely and then just put glue on them and just stuck them in there just like that. There's another one over here, little cluster here, and then I have one at what I'm calling the back over here. So just in little bare spots, just like that. Looks beautiful. All right, everyone, please forgive the background right now. I'm just using my wall right now that I'm using in my videos. My craft room isn't quite prepared yet. I'm moving around again in my home because I want to make room for my mom. So things are kind of all over the place. So the background is not very nice for, so that you can see the, distinguish between like the black of the box with chalkboard back there. So please excuse me for some time. I'm going to be using a little bit of glass cleaner to clean the inside, this little frame. The glass, I just put some glue down in the corners, put it back in there, and then the little prongs that are here, just bent them downward. But the glue is really what's holding the glass. So I need to clean the inside of the glass before I glue it to the top there. And like I said, then you can go ahead, once you're done with everything, you can clean the outside of the glass. So I'm just wiping this one down. Okay, looks good. All right. All right, so now this is gonna go on top of here. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue on the edges here. That way if I wanna pull it apart, I don't have to unglue so much. And of course my frame has gotten a little bit scratched up moving it around. That's okay. We can touch up any paint bits, but really I'm fine with it because when I create crafts for my videos, I do tend to take things apart a lot and reuse them for another project. Let me move this back a little bit. So when you're doing it, if you want to adhere it a little bit better, of course I'm recommending that you do that. But or if you're planning on selling your item, you know, that you've created. All right, so I'm gonna put this on top of here, maybe here in the back somewhere. I'm gonna glue it to the edge back here, and I'm making sure that I can access the little switch, and then if I have to change the batteries, I want to make sure this is on top where I can unscrew. So again, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. All right, and then just gluing it here to this edge here. So I went ahead and I took these two pumpkins from the floral bundle, the bush that I had, and I'm going to use these on top. And of course I'm going to sit my skeleton up here too. Maybe one pumpkin there and one behind him. I kind of like that. Okay, so let's put some glue on his little bum here. Right on his tushy bones. And then we'll put some glue on the pumpkin and prop it right in front of him, so he's got something to lean on. A little bit of glue on the edge here to grab that little rib cage. Oh, he looks so cute, you guys. Let's move this camera so you can see what he's looking like up on the top there. Look at that. He looks so cute up there. I almost don't even want to put the second pumpkin. Let's see. Should I put it on top of that, or? Yeah, let's just put it right there. That looks so cute. Right there. And then of course I had these little bits also. They're kind of tall, so I'm going to trim into shorter bits. And these can go here and there. I'm going to put one right in front here. Right there. I'll come back and use my little air thing, the hot air. What is that thing called anyway? I know it's called a little gun that you use with to help you dry things also. Okay, I'm just adding a little bit more glue to some more of these little picks. And I'm going to glue coming out behind him. So that, anyway, I'm going to use a hot air or a blow dryer, whatever you want to use to get the little webs off. Let's put plenty of glue on this so that we can glue it to his back here. And I'm just going to bend it, curving it like that around his skull. I like that. Look at that. Can you even tell that it's there? Alright, so I'm just going to stick a bit more pieces down there around the bottom and we're done. Alright everyone, my little lighted skeleton box is complete. Now, I will say, if you're not someone that likes Halloween or you don't like it to be too gruesome with the skeletons and such, you can substitute the skeleton and the skull and bones with something else. Maybe a little pumpkin that lights up on the inside, or a candle. Oh, if you like it for, you know, change up the theme for Christmas, put a little lighted village house on the inside, maybe some florals on the top. Whatever your heart and your imagination takes you, this is a good starting point, a little design of where you can create something that will be uniquely yours. So I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up. I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up. And please leave a kind comment down below and let me know what you think of my idea. Will you be using it for something on your own? Or you think you're going to copy it exactly as it is? I love it, you guys, and I hope that you did too. And if you're new to my channel, you happen to stumble upon it and you haven't subscribed, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe by hitting that red button down below. And then after that, you'll see a notification bell. Go ahead and hit that. Choose all so that you get notified of all of my videos as soon as I upload them. All right, everyone. I hope that you have a super day. And as always, enjoy.